Hello and aloha everyone. My name is Abbas Tamori. I am a Baha'i. My speech on the matter pertaining to the United States of America is a viewpoint of a Baha'i. We're not political in any shape or form. We can't take any side. But as far as the knowledge to know where society stands and what are the diagnostic and what are the possible solutions embedded in the Baha'i faith is the duty of every Baha'i. The Baha'i faith has not come, Shoghi Effendi says clearly, to replace even the religions of the past, but find out its true meaning and its course. So as he says, Baha'i faith has not come to replace and disrespect the present systems in the world, but we try to bring up solution to fix it, analyze it, detect it, and see what we can do about that. So I talked to you a bit about what I think has happened to the United States since its inceptions, and generally speaking to the Western society, really, which manifestation of it is the United States of America, but the same can exist in many places in the world. So we have invented democracy in the Western world as a way to rule and create a better government. It's very important to understand what democracy is really. Democracy, I've explained it before, it's not that the majority of people in a country, they vote for a person or for a system. Majority of the people, they could vote for a dictatorship. You can say in a free vote, the whole country went to dictatorship. Is that democracy? Really, no. That's not the goal of democracy. And you could name it democracy, you could say the majority of the will of the people, but would that be a democracy really? Or sometimes, you know, even in China there's democracy, people choose, elect their body, but it does not create democracy. One of the main features of democracy in the West anyway is the presence of two equal and opposite forces, which manifests itself in the United States in the form of Republican and Democrats. So it then creates a check and balance, which is, by the way, believe it or not, has been can be extracted even from the holy writing in Quran. The holy book of Quran, in few verses, it says God has created everything in pair, things you know and things you don't know. This tells us essentially anything that we do, if we can look, as Hegel puts it, it is really consists of a thesis and antithesis that creates a synthesis. There's always two opposite forces in creation of something. And this is the element that is missing. Therefore, one regime and one system on its own, when it comes out, that does not create democracy, such as it is right now in the Baha'i faith itself. Baha'is, they have one house of universal laws of justice, and that is, in its real term, a dictatorship. Election, but elected by people, a dictatorship that dictates. Whereas there should be a universal laws of guardianship on the side as predicted in the Baha'i faith and recommended. So, how do we know democracy works is many factors. One of them is that the minorities have the same right and equal opportunity as the majority. Those who didn't vote for the government, they fall under the same right, which is very well in U.S. and Canada and most of the Western world. But there's something very important, very important democracy that I've observed in my life, that democracy really is a corporations of thoughts, of mind, of togetherness, of ideology. If the component, individual component that they vote and comprise democracy, if they are underachieved, and they get together they create a corporation that's bankrupt. This is why democracy doesn't work in countries where majority of people are not well informed. I give always an example. If there are 100 people in a room and each one of them have $1 and they put it together, the bank in the center have $100. But if each one of them, they owe $1 and they put a corporation, now their corporation, their center, is minus $100 owing. In this case, when the elected representative that comprise and constitute the government as a whole is less effective, more stupid than the individual that have elected them, we are in trouble. And this is the serious danger of the democracy. You see, democracy in the past in the United States, you could see it worked. People had certain values of the past. They were book readers, they were still young, and they were reading a lot of things. And country was going well. People were a lot more thoughtful. The number of the people were not that many also. But as the time passed, we created a lot of more material and less how to manage it, less spiritual values to create an equilibrium. Therefore, the religions of the past came into the 20th century mythology. Jesus Christ turned into Batman and Superman and Spider-Man. Not that these things are bad, but they take the man and the individual into a fantasy world, the world that does not exist. I wish there was a Batman and a Spider-Man and a Superman, but they don't exist. So when people in the United States, through their new, religion, Hollywood, which by the way has done a lot of good educational movies as well, but you need only a little bit of a small amount of virus to make your whole body sick. You could do thousands of good and you do one act and break the whole thing down. These bad movies, bad writers, they took their people into a fantasy world. Individually, they are very uninformed and even careless. In this case, we can gradually see that you're sliding, the democracy of the United States is sliding into those of the Middle East. Look at your past president. I personally respect George Bush, but I think he's a very most irrelevant man to be the president of the United States of America. There's millions, literally, of mind here. Greatest thinkers are here. That could be the president? That's unfortunate. Look at now. We have an accidental president and a Manchurian candidate. Again, with respect to both of these individuals, Barack Obama, I think, is a good-hearted man. But he's certainly irrelevant to what the problems are. He just does not have what it takes. Mitt Romney is 1,000 times worse. These guys, they cannot tackle the problem. The problem is bigger. Because the individual component that they comprise these nations are turning to be on the minus sides. You see, this is how the democracy is not working. Unity and diversity. And then there's unity and conformity. Pay attention to these two phrases. Unity and diversity is the phrase that Shoei Effendi, the guardian, the infallible guardian of the Baha'i faith, uses. This is, we ought to be united, but we have to remain different. We have to be diverse. We cannot conform everyone to each other. I was in the United States, sometimes ago last year, I was talking to people, you know how I am. And some lady in Macy was saying that we have no idea where the people of Texas are going. We just don't want to do anything with them. But we end up going where they go. Because, although we vote, let's say, Democrats, we vote Republicans. So there's a battle going on. Half the mind, 40% of the mind, always is suppressed by something totally opposite. That's what has to become. Democrat and Republican, they become so opposite, or at least they show it that way. So democracy really is not working, because she says that we have to conform to the rest of the country, wherever they go. She says that's our problem in New York too. It's a big city. They decide for the rest of the New York. We like it separated, to go its own state, so we can be our own. And I've seen the same thing happening in Arizona where I was. I was in a clinic. I couldn't even talk about Barack Obama. She said, I hate him, I hate him, I hate him. I said, why do you hate him? That's an office of the president, and you're an American. You should respect it. Where's your respect? She just looked at me like I'm a weird, some kind of a... I said, well, you know, I'm not an American. I'm from North, I'm from Canada. Oh, she says. So they think if you're from North, you're against them. My God. So if you end up confirming the rest of the party in a room, because majority of them they're saying this, in a vote, you are suppressed. And that's what's happening in the United States right now. It's getting too big. If you call the United States a country, and Albania another country, Kosovo another country, Liechtenstein a country, even Japan a country, there's no comparison. The United States is not a country. It's a great, good, beautiful, big, very good replica of a universal government that's acting nationally, and that's what's causing all this craziness. So, you know, what do I know you're going to say that? I'm interested in the United States as a citizen of Earth, because this is the capital of the world. In my opinion, every intelligent citizen of the world have to take care of the United States. This is our capital. It can go down. It's not just belong to the people of the United States. On a global world, we just have to keep it. We cannot let it go down, you see. And this is why I'm interested in it. And personally, I like their people. I don't know, I grew up with Americanism from the very childhood. Whether it was the comics that I would read, or the movies that I would go, or the books I would have. So much of Americanism has gone into me as a kid, because Iran used to be a very secular country and totally inclined toward the Western civilization. I used to go buy those classics illustrated even when I was a kid in Iran, and learned English by reading them. So I do think about it. What is this Declaration of Independence that was signed by just few states at a time? What was it? I've thought about it. It was not an agreement of the states. It was just a signature of a disagreement of the states with England, because they were not dealt properly. They were charging them the same taxes, the same dues and everything, but they were not giving them the services. So they came together, not as an agreement, just to say, England, we're disagreeing with you. We want you out. Now they're out. Now we're dealing with the Constitution. This Constitution has a lot of problem with it. I'm not even going to get into it. You see, it would be a waste of my time. But I can tell you, the jurisdiction of the federal government and the state's government has never been cleared. Never. There's a lot of vague areas. So it's a cast-on battle over who runs the people. Is it the states? It's the federal government? It's the state government? The jurisdictions are not properly explained by those founders. And all this amendment, it's too patchy now. To me, it has to be overhauled. Any good things in this world can last so long. Even Mercedes-Benz, okay, even Lamborghini, even the Apollo. This Constitution was made for the people of the United States a long time ago, right after the World War. It has come to an end, in my opinion. The United States has to be reconstituted altogether. But, you know, people say, you can talk anything you want to say. It's a free country. They all could agree with me, from president to congressman to the worker, but they're all going to say that. Go do it. There's no way in the world that you can change this Constitution. There's no mechanism to do anything with it. Dictators in Iraq are easy. We know his name is Saddam Hussein. We get him down. Dictators in the United States is a system. It has become so strong, just like the Hollywood movies are showing, that everybody is gripped into the clutches, devastating clutches of its system, including the president. They all have to dance to the tune of the system. Nobody has the guts except Ron Paul. He reminds me of those old good presidents. The man knows what he says. It's not going to get him elected, but he throws his money in. Ralph Nader, he could easily join Republican or Democrat to come and say something. But he said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not a part of this crowd. So those who are caring for U.S., they're losers in the sight of the people. And Hollywood is feeding the mind of the people, like a matrix, install all kind of thoughts in their head. They're not in touch with reality. So, how do we fix this? This is a big, gigantic system. Nobody even can think of breaking it down. You break it down, even China doesn't want to break it down. Nobody wants to break it down. You break this down, the whole world will collapse. So what do we do with it? There has to be ways, guys. Let's develop the idea and the subject a little bit more. I always make a comparison between Europe and the United States. They're very similar. They're mostly white. They are mostly Christians. They both come from Europe. Europeans are from Europe and Americans are from Europe, majority. So their thought, their mind, very much, you know, the affinity is very big between them. One has no central government. Europe, state has one. Huge federal government. It seems this unity worked to the credit of the people of the United States because they became bigger. They could organize under this system, this individual power, and channel it, organize it, to create big things. Look, all this space system, U.S. was way ahead of CERN and way ahead of Europe in the beginning. Now they're coming along. So in the course of time, it seems the winner was United States, because up until 1950s, you know, when the World War basically over, the States was all over. If the United States of America was not existing, nobody could defeat Hitler. Let's say if there were, instead of the United States of America, there were 10 different countries. They could not organize themselves, perhaps, in my opinion, to create that machinery of the war, that military power to defeat this son of a gun. I couldn't. So up and until, it was great. But in my opinion, after 1950s, as if the policy reached to its maturity, it dissolved. It's like the dinosaur. was doomed to die. The Constitution of the United States became useless. It seems it was all made to wage this war, and once it's done that, they couldn't do nothing. See, it became more evident when Russia went down. So there were two forces, equal forces. You know, this is America and this is Soviet Union. If you want the United States, you have to have an opposer. If the opposer goes down, what's this guy going to do? They're searching for an opponent everywhere. They're waging war in the Middle East, in Iran, here and there. They're trying to create somebody, you know, equal to have a rivalry. But the front on the war has changed. There's no longer such unity is workable. When Soviet Union went down, that was the end of U.S. That was the end of the unity, the necessity. It went down. The opponent died, you see. The military might, no need for it. So, after 1950s, and again, as I said, continued with the Soviet, went down. You could see that this machinery of the federal government in the United States, which was handling all this affair of the states and successfully united them, wage war within the states and killed the opponent outside of the states. The unity is made, that the marriage was made. But the brokers are still existing. And that's the end of the broker. These states are all united now. They don't need this united force in the center. It has turned into a black hole. It is sucking the life of all its citizens. Its federal people have nothing to do really nationally. They can't, they're ineffective. So they are assuming in the evolutionary pattern a universal identity, a universal responsibility. They are trying to be a universal government for the planet, at the cost of the taxpayers, breaking the back of the American. They police the world. Glory is for the politicians. They don't pay for it. But the Americans are doing. Think of all these wars that has happened. I mean, Second World War, I have no question about it. Even the wars after that. Even Vietnam. Right there you could see how we're faltering down. We're no good. Korea again, okay. Vietnam, a lot of things was useless. It should have not happened the way it happened. Everyone knows it. But it just went in the declinations. Declined more and more and more. The point right now that none of these politicians really understand what they're doing. They don't understand. They have undergone an speciations. They're no longer a national government. They are a universal government. The United States is not the government of the people of the United States. It's the government of all these governments of the world. It's acting that way, you see. This unification of the United States and the federal government has made every individual state so grandiose, so big. Imagine California. Half a dozens of the countries in Europe cannot even match its economy, its size. New York, Florida, Texas. Even Oklahoma is bigger than Albania, which is called a country, or Kosovo, in Europe. These states, they do not need this kind of a boss over their head. It's too big. I hinted that before, but I'm going to go after again, you know, what this government is doing to the people. Ooh, I'm getting political. I'm not really. I'm not going to be one way or other where these people are standing. I'm just looking at my notes. So, again, if you look, this idea that after the World War and after the breakdown of the Soviet Union, the federal government of the United States assumed the universal position has not been noticed by a lot of people. The League of the Nation, I think of Woodrow Wilson, show up, they call him the wise president. He even then had this hunch that something like that had to be done in the world. And that has ever since been in the Americans at the top. When they have no problem with the economy or anything, they think high, they don't forget people, and they try to unify the world or bring something. They've done a lot of great things by the United States of America, there's no doubt, but more for the people of the world outside of America than the Americans. The service of the United States of America towards the apartheid, in South Africa is grand, it's great. The aspirations of all the North Africans thinking Barack Obama is a Muslim, and they just replaced him with Osama, and they said that why should we listen to Osama, the plan destruction, we go with Obama, the plan takeover. They started to change their country. See, the United States inspires people of the world to do things. They are the leader. You are the leaders, but you have to know how to lead too, eh? Your leading cannot stop. It's like a car in the road. Gotta have to watch all the time. Especially in the States, which is the front of the humanity, all the changes happens like a tip of the plant. Yeah, all these things has to be updated. You're behind socially. Totally you're behind all your inventions and all the things that you bring up. You are totally socially fallen behind. There's no social invention of how to manage the United States anymore. You see? But there's all kind of material things, you see. There's three types of wisdom. The wisdom to know how the material substances are put together to create an oven, a phone. The other one is the social wisdom, to understand what people are, how to put them together to work as a nation. Then there's a spiritual solution, how to reach to happiness. You see, there's a difference. So, I have noticed that the United States have gone through a process of disintegration in its evolution and reintegrations into something else, something that has not been noticed. I told you before in my talk, let's see how I covered everything I wanted to say here. Yeah, let's talk about these two topics. I said that last night. While the populations are bigger, the human right index goes down. It's easy to become a president in a town, a reeve, a mayor, city of 5,000, city of 10,000, city of 50,000, but a city of 3 million, like Toronto and New York, you got to have a lot of money. A lot of people then are excluded. They don't have even the chance to come close. Even if they have the aspiration to lead, we can't. The bigger the population gets. So you need a critical number to say that so many numbers people would be able to vote know each other, to have an effective vote. Because beyond that, they don't know it. This is very unfair to ask for 300 million people in the United States of America to vote for one person to lead the country. One person. It's absolutely wrong. It's unfair. People have no chance, no opportunity to know these people, to investigate them. Their scope can go to their cities, maybe to their states, but to the whole top, the whole country, they don't. So then they take a lot of different criteria. Oh, I like his smile, he seems to be nice. You talk to people, they do not have really any proper, arguable, logical explanation of why they vote one way or other. It's all a theatrical, election. It's simply people are not supposed to vote individually. It's like, okay, people of the world, all of the world, including Chinese, they want to vote for one president of the planet. Impossible. They will vote, somebody will come up, but that is not the person people would want it. They have no idea how many people they know who are in China, what their names are, or in Russia or anywhere. Unless media like a broker jumps up and introduces a few people to us and we just go to them. We don't know really who they are. This is the problem. And as a result, we disintegrate in the United States because the population became bigger. On one hand, we went out of balance because we created a lot more material, less management. For God's sake, we are calling social media, isn't it properly to call it anti-social media? What social means then? The people who are using Facebook or internet or texting or all these things, they don't want to even talk to each other. They don't want to even know each other's voice. They just like to be secluded. That is very antisocial. It's not social media. And there's no mechanism involved to say that these things are going to corrupt the mind of the individuals, children and all. There's no science to back it up. Because we haven't developed the science, the social science, to see what the effect of these movies, of these games, of all these things are. Informations, flood of the information makes a person stupid. If you have a choice between two cars, you could definitely draw a perfect choice. But when there's a million cars in front of you, you are going to run out of choice because you have too many choices. You will choose something, but that's not really your choice. So that's what we have done. We have come to situations. The one arm is getting too big, too long. I called it elephantitis. The other side is not developed yet at all. I was listening the other day, Bill Gates, my favorite rich man, He's challenging the world to make a toilet. Very thoughtful of him. But so oblivious of him. So out of mind he is, isn't he? To see what's happening in the States. And try to fix it socially. See, what do we do here? He also doesn't know fixing of estates. It is fixing of the world. This is the capital. This is the front runner. If it falls, the whole caravan is going to fall. He doesn't seem to see the health of the democracy and social power in the planet. It depends on that estates do a good job. And on the side-by-side, Canada and Australia and others. Why? Because the entire world, if you let them, they want to become the citizens of the United States or Canada or Australia or England, but not. That means they look up to you guys. What can Bill Gates think of this? You know the elements, mister, that's corrupting the mind of the young Americans every day. Or are you to think that these things will be fixed? He doesn't know. The material afflictions of the world is due to the lack of social order. social understanding. He forgot the old saying, mind over matter. If the mind and the thoughts are not there, the matter will not be no good. Keep throwing the water in a jar that has a hole and not understanding why the water is not staying in the jar. Because you've closed your eyes thinking that there might be a hole in this jar because you have no concept of the hole in the jar. Those who don't understand the social management that is required, is a must needs, it's the culture that will be developed by the inventions. If that is not determined by the government, which government is too small really honestly to invent it, there has to be a department of the science, a ministry of the science in many aspects to come up in a scientific society that so and so and so and so coming, this will have this kind of effect. So stop making it. Or those who are trying to do these things, they have to undergo a situation, a training to come up and tell to people. They have developed, mind you, certain things, for example, smoking causes all of that. And they're telling them, hey, if you want to make the smoke, you have to do all of these things. They understood that so far. Or drinking. Not really, but a little bit. But it's not just the drinking, the smoking. It's also Nintendo. It's also a movie. It's also Facebook. It's also a computer. All of these things are material things that brings a culture that could be destructive. And the federal government at the top is not able to do this. It's too big and too small to reach everyone. Can't. So this is the process of disintegrations that's happening. So what should we do? We have to, in my opinion, humble opinion, but believe it, opinion of a human being that out of love to God, which is love to you, all of you mankind, have been thinking about this. Not just as a human faculty that you have, but the full faculty of a human being, which is the spiritual power that I have. Been thinking about this for you. Tell you. The United States government is too big. It has to be broken down. It has to be reduced. Similar to Europe. Europe did not have a central government and they lost. They were on extreme opposite side of the United States. Then they understood, no, they have to have some kind of a unity. I was a bit late. This is why, the euro is going down and it's hard for them to put it together. Because majority of the people say, why should we save Greece? They don't know. If they don't save Greece, then there's no customer to sell them. German will lose their customer in Greece. They have to keep the customers alive. They've understood that. But a bit late. But on the other hand, the United States created too big of a government now. Because this is the government that's no good. It's more like a gunfighter. That's old Western movies. That people they don't know what to do, or these hooligans are in the town. They get some, gunfighters, 1, 2, 3 of them, to get rid of the bad guys. Bad guys are dead. Now the problem is that gunfighters, they don't want to leave the town. They still want to stay here. As Persian they say, I saved myself from the ditch, now I'm into dungeon. So that's what happened. United States federal government was necessary to create the unity that was required to get the people at this point. Now they are no good. It has to be reduced. If the people of Arizona do not pay federal income tax, but they pay exact the same tax, not to the federal government, to the state of Arizona, the government of Arizona. I work in Arizona, I live in Arizona, it is the land I walk on, I pay tax for it. I don't understand United States of America. This place cannot have too many names. I can't be charged twice. United States of America is a virtual government. It's not the real government. The real government is the government of Arizona, the government of Texas, the government of the states, where people are directly connected to and related to, not the federal government. So what do? We have to reconstitute it, that the federal government of the United States of America become the government of the states, not the government of people. That's the catch, guys, if you can get it. You bastard politician, you know it. You don't want to do anything about it. Okay? So what happened now here? Okay, Californian, tomorrow they don't pay federal tax. They all pay to the government of California. In 1 year, California pays all of their debts for free. They have extra money after they spend the money for their policing, for the roads, for their firefighters. Extra money they have, they pay to the federal government. This will reduce the federal government to a little house. A government of 50 states. That's it. Every other affair has to fall in. People say, you're an anti-federalist. You don't know what you're talking about. Most people, I've seen also some real crazy, Republican. No, we have to follow the Constitution of the United States of America. I said, mister, your forefathers were not thinking like that. They said, hell with the damn land. We're going to create a new one. They were not thinking like this. Republican, they were not thinking like that. You guys are worshipping the past. Get out. That's not how the United States was formed. It was formed in defiance of the past. It was formed in defiance of what was wrong, what was not useful, what was not practical. And now you're going back to something because you think those days were good. It reminds you of your youth. Like me reading the comics sometimes. Because when I read the comics, I feel, oh, I remember when I was reading these comics when I was a kid. Yeah, take a trip to the past. Because it's more comfortable, Sliding down is easier, going up hard. But U.S. always has done that. They have taken this responsibility to pave the road for the rest of the mankind to go. All the mankind, they have a road. It's called Western civilization. Western civilization, they have no road. All they have is not even a trail. They have to pave it as they go. See, it's a big, huge task. So, if this is states, and then they say, oh yeah, what you are doing, making the federal government to go down all these estates. Then they're going to be separated, this and that. I said, no, that's so stupid. The idea of the estates separation, it's a long-time attitude of people. Today the trend is reintegration. Didn't Germany, they went together? Then so many other countries, they were joining. Even South Korea and North Korea wanted to be the one. Many other peoples. The trend is coming together. People in the United States of America and their state will never separate from each other. Never. It just is too close for comfort right now. People cannot order the bully, the big gunfighter in the center. They can't. So they're going to have to leave the city and go to make your own town somewhere else, and be careful this time. When you're trying to use an antibiotic, remember the germ will die one day, and then antibiotic is no useful. Don't keep having it. The United States is that antibiotic to segregation, to separation, to disunity. People are all united now. There's so many means to unite people in the United States of America. Nobody will go away. This fear is just no good. Therefore, this process of disintegration, which is an historical understanding of the pattern of evolution of mankind at this stage, has to be understood. A. B. At the same time, there has to be a process of reintegration yet to be achieved. What would that be? So, the Baha'i faith clearly states there has to be universal government. Because Baha'u'llah says if you have a universal government, you simply save a lot more money. You don't need army. There's big armies in the world. And even if you have the army, then you go fight the real front, which is the environment, which is the disease. Even a space problem. All kind of problems are facing us. The front is no longer these other nations. Something else. The mother nature. Disease. The army will have to be modified to do those kind of things. But yet, we don't need that big of an army anyways. When everywhere in the world they're disarmed, you don't need this. But if this trend of reintegration again can be understood, that we are converging towards a global village, this world order that George Bush Sr. borrowed from Baha'u'llah and from the Baha'i faith, the world order of Baha'u'llah, the phrase that has been in the Baha'i faith for 150 years, has been used now and then by the politician in the United States. I heard Bush Sr., a very sound politician, I respect that man, use that. What does that mean? Where are we going then? What is the chances of getting people together? Of course you can't get all the people of the world getting together. But you're able to get Canadian on the side. They share the same destiny with you. You can get Australian on the side, people in New Zealand. They're all Anglo-Saxons, majority. What about the beautiful mother United Kingdom, England, where all you guys came from? Why don't we start a reintegration power between these 5 Anglo-Saxon countries in the world? England, Canada, United States. This is the real role of the United States government. Let's have one army, one CIA, one FBI, no passport. Road are all close between these 5 countries. Seriously, one universal government to do the affairs of the environment, everything that these countries they have. And once you start this, there you go. The rest of Europe is bound to come. They plead to come in. And then we're going towards a world government. But it has to start here, United States of Government, people of America have to understand this. This is no longer a universal government. A federal government is a universal government. In the Baha'i faith, well, let's look at America. We have 3 levels of government. We have local government, the cities. Then you have the state government, and some of you have even counties government. And then we have federal government, 3. In the Baha'i faith, we have the same 3 levels. The Baha'is, they elect a local spiritual assembly, and in future, a local house of justice and a local house of guardianship. Then they have a national one. At the second level, like the level of government, it rules the nation, the country. We have a 3rd level of government, but our 3rd level is a universal government, not a national. But the world order of Baha'u'llah recognizes 3 levels of government, but 2 of them is in a nation, the 3rd one is outside of the nation. This is not the invention of Baha'u'llah. this is how he has seen it from the different dimensions. You can't have a third level of government in any nation. It will be an imposing and mighty task over the citizens. And you can't rule nationally anyways, because this is the way mankind goes. The third level of government is not in contact, in a real contact, real relation with individuals. This is why the federal government of the United States is assuming a universal responsibility. Most of what the taxpayers' money goes is to police the world. Well, it's great to police the world, but somebody has to pay for it. It can't be on the back of the taxpayers in the United States of America. Not even a single blood of American that has gone to Iraq is wasted. Absolutely. A dollar that's gone is wasted. As some stupid people somewhere else, I don't know, say, oh, the United States is there for oil. What oil? Every barrel of the oil is bought from Iraqis by England, by the United States, by them, of course, not by others probably. But they pay for it in form of fixing their country, you know, fixing their road or some other ways. But at the end of the day, it has nothing to do. A state is not going to enjoy this. What are you trying to create? A healthy government so you can deal with them? My God, their population is no good. It's not enough for this kind of a mighty escalations of the American force, American lives there. Absolutely. It's a total waste. In fact, their stupidity is so big because they're mixing national and universal. This is Afghanistan, this is Iran, and this is Iraq. These guys go to Afghanistan and they forget Iran and they jump over Iraq. And they say we are liberating Iraq. Guess what? Majority of them are Shiites. Democratically, Iraqi will be a Shiite government, and they will go to the middle, which is Iranian, and you missed it. And they're going to get the force. But then they're both Shiites. And Iranian, they said, oh, thanks God. The United States didn't see us. They missed us. Because the President of the United States of America had a personal grudge of losing the campaign of his father to Bill Clinton. And he just wants to go and punish Saddam Hussein, who was on the CIA payroll. Americans are killing their own Americans, you know, allies. And then Iranians in the middle, the government, the real enemy, is missed. You guys didn't know when you bring democracy in Iraq, the majority of them are Shiites? You didn't know that? And you didn't know the Shiites, majority of Iraq, will have ties with Iranians who are Shiites? Or you forgot the Iranians, they hate your guts. So what are you going to do? They send all these Iranians from Iran, come to Iraq and fight Americans. Because they knew if they win in Iraq, next stop is going to be Iran. But politicians, they didn't see this. Generals, they didn't see this. What are they, doping? What are they doing? I'm challenging every one of them right on TV and national TV. With my life, prove them that they're wrong. And you call this national government? Of where? Of the United States of who? That's it. Gunslinger. They killed the enemy, which was separation, which was disunity, which was ignorance. Now, everything is achieved, but they're not leaving. They want to stay there. So, we have to disintegrate this government by not paying taxes to the federal government and paying it to the state government. Let the state decide what their cost is. They pay towards the federal government. Reduce it thereby to something very small. Then, let the federal government of the United States understand this evolutionary pattern that is becoming universalizing itself. It is assuming universal responsibilities. Then let's get practical. Let's sit down in a summit properly with Canadians, with Australians, with English, with people in New Zealand. All this fine. Get together. Let's talk serious. You're all Irish and Scottish and English and Welsh. Let's sit down. Let's see what you could do. You guys made the United States of America. What's this combination of all of you in this combination of many states? What's wrong now if you get Canada and Australia and other these countries of Anglo-Saxon to come together in a bigger unit yet? Clearly benefits. Then this army of the United States of America is going to be there, but everyone has to pay for it because it's there for everyone. The capacity of CIA to protect Canada from anything is completely there. Why do we need extra, things somewhere else? What sovereignty these Canadians are talking about? It's the same nations. It's all Anglo-Saxons, brothers. We are outsiders. We're guests, not you. You should stop looking at each other as strangers. You're same blood, same genes, same patterns of evolution, same history. So you share all of this. Therefore, something good has to come out of it. A foundation for a future sound federal universal government. You see, the whole process which took us here was great, but now it's decaying because it's stopping. It's not continuing its mission, which should be the reintegrations of these 5 countries. Oh God. So, did I say everything? I think so. I'm going to bug you probably another time to say some more stuff to tell you, as going for the rest of the issues in matter of the social, pertaining to social or economical or spiritual. It's all those videos in the past. It shares, it's all for all the people of the world. These particular topics, it's just for the United States of America, and this is why I say that. If China was in your position, I would have addressed them. If India was in that position, I would have addressed them, but they're not. This historical opportunity is being given to you. Shall we offend says some startling things, Well, you have to have different ears, I guess, to hear it. When I read him and he says that the people of the United States, they do not acknowledge and have realized their God-given mission. They don't know why they're here. What is it that you guys don't know? I said to myself. What should they know? I told you some of the things that you should know. Very well. God be with you.